Здравствуйте, товарищи, and welcome to. I'm not sure if this is going to be my third or my fourth installment of the Road to Badassery series. However, I'm here again with Rekatan. But before we begin actually coaching. If you will allow me to quote from the Emperor's Handbook by Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, I want to have a quote here that will inspire us going forward. So here we go. In the end, what would you gain from everlasting remembrance? Absolutely nothing. So what's left worth living for? This alone: justice in thought, goodness in action, speech that cannot deceive, and a disposition of glad of whatever comes, welcoming it as necessary, as a familiar and is flowing from the same source and fountain as yourself.
All right.
So I hope that brought up that elevated our philosophical chops for this installment of our playing of Starship Craft. Anyway,
It's good. It prepared us for more conversation about whether Zerglings are sentient. So that's
exactly
a good step.
I got some mixed responses about that. Like, some people liked it, and some people was like, you should talk about the game more. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, I even got some on the thread, and they were like, well, it seems to be distracting him from his gameplay. And I'm like, well, but we got to, be entertaining too. So
Yeah.
It's a balancing act. How's the mic sound? It's a brand new mic, so it
definitely increased the S's, increased like that, or increased the quality, decreased that sort of S sound, like that weird S sound that it made. So it's definitely an improvement.
Okay. Yeah, I still need to work on my microphone boost because I'm noticing I still got some background fuzz.
Yeah, you do have some background noise.
But other than that, it's fine for now. So better than nothing.
I've actually changed my mic setup too. I bought like a vocal mic stand, and I've got it propped off to the side, and now the mic is like suspended in front of my face, so it's no longer on my desk. So that will decrease the sound of like my furious keyboard pounding.
Yeah, it was pretty heavy for our last one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. I was kind of looking at the feedback, and also I spent some time watching the recordings. And this actually helped bring some things up that I wouldn't have otherwise seen. So it's actually kind of cool to get to see our recordings from your perspective, because
Sure.
there were some things that are really hard to spot on a replay, but really easy to see from your point of view. So first off, the one thing I noticed right off the bat is your mouse scroll speed. Is that still at default?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. You'll probably want to start gradually bumping that up.
Okay.
Just because right now, I mean, if what you're currently at feels comfortable, then I guess rock on. But that, I can't imagine that feels like it's up to the speed that you'd be comfortable at. I don't really necessarily feel like you're having trouble keeping up with that mouse scroll speed. So you might want to just kind of bump it up by, say, 5%.
Sure.
Every day until you find that point where you say, whoa, that's too fast.
Sounds like a plan.
I just max mine out because I don't really mind it over scrolling. It once in a rare while it does it, but usually I find it helps because then I can just kind of bump the edge of the map to move it.
Where is mouse? Good. There it is. It's in controls. Okay. I'm at only 20% actually. I don't know if that's
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty low.
Let's bump it up to 30.
Yeah,
and see
I would
how
just
that works.
5 or 10% per day until you get to your comfort level. I would say anything less than 60% probably is going to be pretty slow for a master's level player.
Okay. Cool. I've also got like one of those mouse or those mice that have you can adjust like the control speed on it. Like it's got like a plus and minus control speed, and it's set at +2 or whatever. So maybe that compensates for it a little bit. But yeah.
Well, the thing with the mouse scroll speed versus mouse sensitivity is the scroll speed in StarCraft II is completely independent of your sensensitivity. So you could have, I mean, you could be running, 500 DPI and 1% mouse sensitivity, but 100% mouse scroll speed, and it's going to take you like 10 scrolls across your mouse pad to get to the edge of the screen. But when you get there, it's going to be flying across the map.
I see.
So they're kind of two independent speeds.
Good to know.
Okay, so the next thing I noticed was we got you off of the F2 key, but I noticed now that's resulting in a couple things. First off, a lot of your units are sitting back at home without any control groups, and then you just box them and move them out when something comes up. And that puts you in a difficult position because it makes it really difficult for you to quickly navigate to those units. You got to click them on the mini map. As opposed to, for example, if you have all your Zerglings and Roaches and Banelings on 2, you can just tap 2 twice and you're there. So that also applies to Mutalisks. I think we're ready to start moving you up to 2 control groups now for your army. So when you're on Mutas, or you might want to just figure a few different units that you consider to be high micro, really high maintenance units, and you want to make a special control group for them. I like to do Mutas on 1 or Infestors on 1, which can make a bit of a conflict if I'm going both, but I rarely go both. And then my kind of more traditional A-move friendly army on 2. So Zerglings are going to be there, Roach is going to be there, Roach Hydra is going to be there, Ling Baneling's going to be there, that kind of thing. And then my Queens on 5, which you don't have to do at all. I mean, that's just something special I do where 5 is kind of this universal hotkey for me in my late game because my Queens and my my army go on the same hotkey after a while.
I see.
But yeah, the important thing there is just making sure that when your units spawn, there's 2 ways you can go about it. Either when they hit their rally point, you'll go ahead and box them and do a shift 2 or shift 1 or whatever number you decide on, and just kind of instinctively start to add those to the control group as you see them. Or you can add the eggs to the control group as they're hatching.
It seems like it would probably be easier to do, at least for me.
Well, it's a trade-off. I will say more and more the pros are starting to adopt that method, but it's something you weren't able to do in Brood War, so it's a very slow adjustment process. It's what I choose to do, but you're trading. You're using more actions at the time that you spawn the unit to have less actions involved later on, because now you're guaranteeing that the moment those units spawn, they're already following whatever command was recently given to your army, so they're going to rally a lot better rather than hanging out at your rally point and just sitting there idle. You're also not going to have to randomly just start grabbing them as they hatch and keep adding them in. You can just make a spawn cycle, shift 2 with the eggs, and you're good to go.
Yeah, that makes more sense to me, honestly. So I'm going to try doing that from now on.
Okay. So the one thing you want to keep in mind there is to try and, maybe not right away, I would say just for now, get used to just making stuff and then you shift 2. But the problem with that is, let's say you make 8 sets of Zerglings, and then you run out of minerals and you've got 3 larvae remaining. And then you shift 2 and you just added 3 larvae and 8 eggs to your control group, and then those next 3 eggs turn out to be overlords. Well, now you've got a bunch of overlords slowly following your Zerglings around getting shot. So eventually you want to also mix into that process, removing the excess larvae from the selection, but you probably want to do it in steps, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
First, just get in the habit of, hey, whenever I make stuff, let's add it to a control group as it's spawning. There was one other thing that's going to drive me nuts. Oh, the hatcheries. I was noticing it was kind of inconsistent. Sometimes they were rallied to a mineral field. Sometimes you were having to manually move the drones to the mineral field. And that was a hard one to pin down because it seemed like your main and your natural were fine, but the third never really got rallied.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of a reminder. Just try and make sure you always have your hatcheries rallied. It should be something you generally do the moment you plant the hatchery, so that you don't even have a chance of forgetting, because that's a lot of lost mining time sometimes.
Indeed. Okay. So is that those are the main things? That
Yeah. Yeah, and those will apply no matter what race we're playing today, so I figure that's good to get out of the way.
Okay, well, I'll mention a little bit where I've been at. I've been upgraded from gold to platinum. So, yeehaw. I'm actually high platinum right now. They put me, like, from gold, and they're like, oh, now you're rank 4 platinum. So, apparently I climbed that ladder pretty quickly. So, that's okay. I'm still doing okay. My win rate has decreased, I think, from in gold. Like, I was winning, like, 9 out of 10 matches at one point, and now it's more like 6 out of 10, maybe 7 out of 10. I'm having a lot of trouble with early pressure in these higher leagues. I'm also having way more trouble with Protoss than I was in earlier leagues. I'm doing really well against Terran. Like, I've got a really solid win rate against Terran. I'm doing well in ZVZ as well, because I've got a build that I use that applies early Zergling pressure, and that seems to be pretty successful, at least at this stage in the game. And The main thing though is I'm having a lot of trouble with toss and early like timing, like 7 or 8 minute timing attacks. Like I got rolled by some toss, and and by like 8 minutes he had this huge army of like stalkers and Dark Templar, and I'd never seen that composition in my life. I'm like, oh crap, I'm done. There's nothing I can do. I also got completely destroyed by a Terran who built nothing but Widow Mines. That was really frustrating.
Completely viable, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Maybe a few medevacs, but that's about it. Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I'm at now. I very rarely lose a macro game, it seems.
Excellent. That's where we wanted you to be. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
It's really easy for us to now say, okay, this is how you spot a 7 gate. This is how you spot an Immortal All-In. You know, that kind of stuff is just kind of some triggers that are going to start to kick in when you scout.
Mm-hmm.
But to get that foundation where you, just to give you some idea, I don't know if you've taken a chance to look at this, but your ZBT is 59%, which is phenomenal.
Where do I find those statistics? I've been trying to find them.
Yeah, if you go to ladders, and then right above Grandmaster, you're going to see statistics.
Ladders. Oh yes, I see that right there.
And then you've got a map and a race report. You're probably going to get the most use out of the race report, but you might want to take note of your map report stating that Core Hall City is 29%.
Yeah, I've vetoed that map.
Okay. So we have your first veto. That is good.
In fact, I vetoed all the maps that were 4v4 maps because I like it when you know when your enemy's going to spawn.
Okay. That definitely, yeah, I mean, if that's your style, especially because I've noticed you don't typically drone scout, that's going to treat you a lot better.
I do try and drone scout. At 14 is generally when I drone scout now.
Okay, yeah. That was something we weren't doing previously, but I wasn't too worried about it because some people will go straight up to Grandmaster without it. So, Okay, so yeah, you've got 59% versus Terran, 57 versus Zerg, 52 versus Protoss, which, I mean, we have no races in the negative right now. So with a 56% average, I mean, you can carry that average all the way up to Masters. And you asked actually yesterday or the day before.
How do you get promoted? Because I was like rank #1 gold, and I was just destroying gold players. I'm like, I think it's time for me to move on and have a higher challenge level.
Well, Blizzard in their infinite transparency has not told us much of anything, but we've had to kind of figure it out on our own. So here's a couple things I guess about it. You have your hidden matchmake rating, your MMR. Mm-hmm. And it's this little behind-the-scenes rating that determines who plays who. And that's actually the only number that matters. Well, okay, there's technically two numbers. But anyways, your matchmaking rating is what determines who plays who, and that's what determines promotions. Now, you also have another rating that takes into account how you're currently doing in a streak and whether you do well versus someone you're favored against or who's favored against you. Now, once upon a time in Wings of Liberty, when you entered a game, you may remember it'll say you're slightly favored. Yeah. And that's what determines how many points you get, which is a representation of your MMR compared to your opponent. So you've got that one number that helps with the short-term matchmaking, and it heavily can swing one direction or the other depending on streaks and how you do against certain opponents. So, for example, if you beat a whole bunch of platinum level players, that one's going to go through the roof. It's your Sigma. It's going to just fly through the roof, and all of a sudden you're going to start matching nothing but platinum players. But your MMR is not technically there yet. It's just it's almost kind of grooming you for platinum. So your MMR then very slowly climbs as you continue to play these platinum players, and as long as you don't take a harsh loss, you don't randomly lose to a silver player, which I probably wouldn't match you with unless someone was, trolling on an account. But as long as you keep that streak going, that's when you go ahead and you're ready to move on. So the reason you hit that rank 1 gold is because it's waiting for your MMR to be over 50% of your typical platinum opponent, and then it's also waiting for an availability, which in the case of platinum probably is always going to be there. In the case of Grandmaster, sometimes Master, it's a little harder to break in. But it's going to look like you're already ready, even if behind the scenes you're not.
I see.
And that's because you're on a streak. So technically, your MMR is still gold level, but once this other number's factored in, you're hitting mid to high masters because you're on a streak. So I know it's kind of a convoluted system that they've developed.
Yeah,
But
that made like zero sense.
I mean, that's Blizzard being what they are. They love to not be transparent, and they love to make things way too complicated. So then they made Grandmaster, which is the simplest system ever and doesn't work for anyone. So they have their extremes.
They're like I think it's like 0.5% of players are in Grandmaster. I think. Like,
Well,
I
it's
was, like,
just
looking at the
yeah.
percentage and how each league breaks down. I thought, it was interesting to see how they all break down.
Well, and it's even more silly because it's not even based on percentage. It's actually just top 200 players. So we could have 201 players in the StarCraft II North American ladder, and 200 of them would be Grandmasters. Or we could have 5 million players, and 200 of them would be Grandmaster.
See, well,
It's not remotely representative of the population, so it's kind of silly. So, anyways, I hope that made some sense, but I kind of doubt it did.
yeah, I kind of get. Basically, you just keep playing and winning, and eventually it'll upgrade you if there's a spot to which you can be upgraded to.
Yeah. As long as you just kind of understand there's this hidden other system that recognizes win streaks and losing streaks, that's kind of where it's going to help you to kind of, first off, not get down, because a lot of people, they'll promote to platinum in this case, and then they may lose a few games, and then they'll randomly hit a gold, and they'll go, oh my god, I'm about to demote. But that's not really the case. It's trying to figure out where you're at in accordance to your current losing streak.
I see.
So it's wonky.
Yeah, it's weird how it works out, but I think it's actually a pretty good matchmaking system overall. It's generally pretty consistent and places you with people that are, at your level for the most part. I feel
Yeah.
like.
Well, and you actually got one of the tougher promotions now because they enlarged the gold league.
Yeah.
So I believe it's now 20.
No,
it's 32%.
32%. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, bronze is really small. Gold is huge. So I would say gold and diamond to master. Those are going to be your two tough promotions. I don't suspect platinum to diamond will be that tough. There's very little difference. All right. So sounds like ZVP.
Yeah. Is
Okay.
my weak area right now.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get this started. I want to, I don't feel like the replays I watched a while back are going to be representative of your play. So,
Do you want me to send you some new ones, or?
well, I think we should just jump right in. I think you're kind of graduated past the point of us critiquing replays that you're playing against ladder opponents because, at least from what I've seen thus far, I think your fundamentals are going to be fine. So now it's just more about seeing those little misreads in their build.
Okay. I need a good.
Oh, that is unranked 2v2.
Yeah, I was doing that yesterday. It's a lot of fun. I think 2v2 is a lot of fun.
Yeah, twos can be fun.
If you got
I
like
don't
a friend.
think the threes are fours though.
Yeah, the three. That it just gets like who can make the biggest army the fastest type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, it's a mess.
if you got a good friend to play 2v2 with, it's a ton of fun, I think.
Yeah, actually, there was a couple comments on the YouTube saying we should play 2v2 once you get up to Masters. I'd totally be down for it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Let's see. God, I keep wanting to do like Shakuris, Tal'Darim Altar, the ones that have been removed from the map pool. They were such great maps. Oh, well, we'll start with Old Faithful. You're still playing Daybreak, right?
Yes. Anything so long as it's a it's a 1 versus 1 map where there's one guy spawning across from you. I don't have any of those vetoed. The 3 I have vetoed are all the 4v4 maps or whatever.
Okay.
Or the 2v2 or whatever they're called. Anyway.
Sounds good. All right, so this first game, I'm not sure what I'll do yet. It'll depend on what I see. But right now we're just going to try and kind of get a feel for where you're at in this matchup since we haven't played any yet.
Yeah, I need a good, solid ZVP build. Because I got a good one that's working for me in TVZ and ZVZ. Or, well, I should be saying Z because I'm Canadian. ZVZ. Anyway. But I've got good builds that are working for me. I don't necessarily have one for ZVP. Yeah, this sounds weird. I'm just saying ZVP.
Yeah, Canadians are really nerdy if they say that. I mean, that makes me think of Power Rangers. Lord Zed, the bad guy from the first Power Rangers.
No, I generally I use it for the overwhelming majority of things.
Hmm.
I like to troll people and call the band ZZ Top ZZ Top.
That just makes my brain hurt. All right. So the fun thing about this is now that you're platinum, I get an excuse to amp it up a bit. So that'll be good. I won't feel so dirty.
Yeah, I've actually I've been like paranoid about drops, so I like build up like drop defenses very regularly, but very rarely have I actually been dropped by many
That's
Terran
good.
players.
Yeah, you're developing a habit. So when you finally start seeing it, probably early to mid diamond, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, there it is. Okay,
Yeah.
I know what this is. Yeah, that's fine. As a Zerg player, I think a healthy paranoia of drops is mandatory. There's a point that it's not paranoia. It's just expectation of the inevitable.
There's
It's like, yeah, this is gonna happen.
there's one thing that's incredibly satisfying to me, and that's when you kill a no. Damn it.
There you go. Give you a freebie for this one.
Oh, well, I already spent my money on a spawning pool.
Hatch first, huh? Okay.
I generally always go hatch first.
All right. So are you getting cannon rushed yet?
I got cannon rushed a couple times, very rarely with success though. I don't see why Protoss do it. I don't find it to be a very successful strategy at all.
Okay. Well, we will. What I'll probably do is I want to kind of, again, just kind of have your build be your own, but I also want to show you the weaknesses in your build. So don't be surprised if I mix in a cannon rush. Don't, take it personally. It's more just kind of learning from experience kind of thing.
Yeah. Great, now I'm like, is he gonna cannon rush me?
Where's the cannons? Where are they? Yeah, I told you that exclusively to make you paranoid so I can macro. So it's all psychological from here.
I like to sing to my opponents if I'm doing really well, because I listen to music while I play, and I'll just like quote random lyrics from the songs I'm listening to if I'm doing like really well.
Yeah,
I usually
Huck will do that.
Yeah.
Troll people a bit.
But I usually listen to like really depressing like emo music, because I don't know why. Because I don't know.
It's okay, emo music's good. As long as it's 90s emo music. The current stuff, I don't know. It's just, yeah. Not a fan. Radiohead, though, best emo music ever.
Yeah.
Okay, that gas steel generally isn't going to do too much.
No, I wasn't trying to steal it. I was just trying to protect my drone or whatever.
Oh, okay,
I was
gotcha.
just doing it to like make sure the drone will be okay.
Keep him from getting cooked while you were looking away.
Yeah, pretty much.
Gotcha. You know those flashlights.
Those flashlights.
Sentries, yeah, sentries and probes. They both got their little flashlight guns. They
No,
do
that
so
always
much.
reminds me of. Are you a Warhammer 40k fan at all?
A little bit. Like, I'm actually gonna be getting into it. I've never had a chance to. I played a lot of fantasy actually, but
Yeah.
I've never had a chance to get into a collection. But I'll probably do. God, I can't remember the name of them. The long range ones that are really high tech. They got really good snipers.
Oh, the Tau?
Tau, yeah. I'm wanting to make a Tau army.
Yeah.
They look fun.
No, it's just in like the Warhammer canon or whatever. The main humans, the Imperial Guard. They call their rifles flashlights because they're generally like so ineffective. Is that it's like
Sounds
Yeah.
completely appropriate.
literally, you're just putting a flashlight in the end of a gun.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, a couple of my buddies, they play Tyranid a lot, so
Yeah, I would.
apparently Tau versus Tyranid's fun.
If I were to play a Warhammer army, I like the lore and I like the games, like Dawn of War and that type of stuff. I don't actually do the miniatures, but if I did, I'd probably do a Tyranid army because I like creepy crawly bug things. This is why
Oh yeah,
I'm the
they're
Zerg,
very
obviously.
Zerg-like. Yeah, they definitely seem a lot like Zerg. Although, which ripped off which? I never knew which came first.
It depends on who you talk to, really, but I think actually Warhammer came first. It was like early 80s.
Oh, wow, no kidding.
Yeah.
All right, so what's going on in my base? Good
I
timing on
see.
that.
I see. 4 gate.
Oh, a lot more than 4, but
Okay, well, a lot of gate.
a lot of gate. I like that. That's a good term. Okay,
A
well,
Twilight Cancel. I'm also really unfamiliar with like Protoss tech trees because I used to play Terran when Wings of Liberty first came out, so I'm kind of familiar with them, but I never ever played Protoss.
gosh.
So I don't even know what a Twilight Cancel does.
Okay, yeah, we'll have to talk about that because that's good to know by Platinum.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll talk about that afterwards because that's important information. Ooh, make sure you pull back. You got that Overlord speed. Don't want to waste it.
Yeah, that's true. Oh. It was officially wasted.
Yep.
Man. Okay. Is that what Twilight Council does? Is blink stalkers?
Yeah, it does a few things.
Okay. Yeah, well, I pretty much caved to this. I've got nothing.
All right. Oh, I forgot you can't warp up high ground anymore. That was a good patch on their part.
You can't?
Nope, they fixed that with the Heart of the Swarm.
Okay. Yeah, I've got nothing.
Okay. Yeah, and this is something that you're going to find some players who just do nothing but this in some way, shape, or form. Especially once you get to Diamond, there's guys who just let their Blink Micro carry them through the entire game, all matchups. Because it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Blink is fun. Okay, so first off, let's talk that tech tree, because that's really good to know.
Okay.
Because really, you don't know how to hold this unless you know what you're holding. Okay, so you've got your... I'm not sure how early I want to go with this, but I guess I'll start from scratch, especially because we're going to be putting this on YouTube. So you've got your Nexus, that makes the probes, and can chrono boost.
Really? Oh,
Yeah. And once you've got a cyber core, that Nexus can also produce a mothership core. Mothership core, that's going to be used a lot for certain types of early rushes. A couple stalkers, yeah, zealot and a mothership core. Sometimes it escorts a 4-gate. Then you got your pylon, that's your like a supply depot, and a overlord that provides power for your buildings. And you got your gateway, that's going to be able to produce zealots, stalkers, sentries, Dark Templar, High Templar. Initially just zealots. Once they've got a cyber core, they're going to then be able to produce sentries and stalkers. Then you've got your forge, that gives you all of the upgrades for ground army, and also shields which affect both air and ground. And that allows them to produce cannons. Then your cyber core unlocks a few different things. You've got the Twilight Council, which we just looked at, and that allows you to research Blink and Zealot Charge. Also, that's going to open up the +2 and +3 on the Forge.
Okay.
Then you've got, from that Twilight Council, the Templar Archives. So that opens up your your High Templar. Also, you've got the Dark Shrine, which opens up your Dark Templar, which also comes off of that Twilight Council. So one thing you can already start to think in the back of your mind is if your opponent opens Twilight Council, and they're rocking some Blink Stalkers for a while, but they're not quite killing you, don't be surprised if you see them move into Dark Templar and start sending in waves of Dark Templar to snipe your hatcheries, because they're already on that tech path. Mm-hmm. Then, completely on a separate tree here, we've got our Robo. And that's going to open up initially your Immortal and your Observer. And then your Prism.
And Prism and those kind of fun units.
Yep. You've got to get your Robotics Support Bay before they can get a Colossus. And also Colossus are 6 range until they research the +3 range upgrade. Also, once they get the robotics support bay, they can upgrade their observers to be faster and their prisms to be faster, but those are less used. Then lastly, you've got your Stargate. That's going to open up initially your Void Ray, your Phoenix, and Oracle. And
so
then
they don't need any of their tech to get the Oracle. It's just a Stargate, straight Stargate.
yeah, if you see double Stargate, especially when the Oracle buff comes, which we all know is coming, David Kim even keeps dropping hints about it. But yeah, once you see double Stargate, and especially if you no longer see anything producing out of it, it means they may have already cranked out a bunch of Oracles, maybe a bunch of Phoenix. They could already be on the way to the mineral line. So that's the point. You really want to watch your minimap.
Okay.
Nice thing about the Stargate, you can always see what it's producing. So if it's producing, you can zoom in on it and actually see a little bluish.
Yeah, you can see like the outline of the ship inside of it.
You got it.
Yeah.
And then your fleet beacon, that unlocks the Tempest and the Kill.